Well, I would like to start that. In Born and raised in Biloxi, Mississippi, at about 1984 when I graduated from high school. During my junior year, I was sent to the cafeteria of the school to take the Army ASVAB test. Had no intentions of joining the military, although I had brothers and sisters that were in the military. My sisters was Air Force and my brother was Air Force Reserve. Okay. Upon that, I was thinking about what was I going to do after high school, and my mother, she was it was six of us in the family, and I always wanted money in my pocket, you know. And I always thought about if I joined college, I would still have to beg mom for money just to sustain college. So I went into the cafeteria, began taking the test, and with the thought of, I'm not joining no military, this is not going to be for me. But so I went in and I kind of like laid down on at the first part of the test, and you know, didn't care about it. And then something just told me, just wake up and just go start answering these questions. And I started answering the questions. Later that year, I'm walking down the hallway, and there was a Sergeant Winston, and he said, "Hey, Peavy." And I turned around, and he said, "Hey, you ever thought about joining the military?" And I looked around, and I said, "No." He said, "Well, what you gonna do when you graduate from high school?" I said, "Well, I thought about going to college." He said, "Do you know that you can go to college and get a military career at the same time?" And I said, "You mean you can give me college and a military career and put money in my pocket?" And I said, "I'm thinking about that." And he said, "Well, won't you come see me?" So I went off to see Sergeant Winston, and we sat down. And before I went and visited with Sergeant Winston, my sister said, "These are the jobs that you should be looking for right here. You know, anything inside, you know, where you can be inside a lot." And you know, I think you would enjoy that because my sister was a supply specialist in the Air Force. So when I went to visit with Sergeant Winston showed me the jobs that I qualified for, and one of them, lo and behold, it was 92 Alpha Logistics, and it was working inside. And I said, "Hey, that's the job I want right there." And he told me, "Just sign here on the dotted line." Went off the basic training in July. I was on a delayed entry program, so it took me probably about maybe 2 or 3 months, and I went off. I graduated in May. So in July, I went off the basic training at Fort Knox, Kentucky. Upon arriving at Fort Knox, Kentucky, man, when I got off that bus, I didn't know what was going on. I mean, it was people coming at me with arms as big as tanks. And it was just like a lot of hollering and yelling, "Let's go, get in place, get in place." And I started thinking right then, what have I got myself into? And I went to, if you know anything about Fort Knox is all artillery. You know, there's no women on the post. You don't even get to see a female, not even smell the perfume of a female. When I got there, it must have been about 101 degrees outside. And I remember when we got off the bus and we went in to get our equipment, on that next day to issue clothing. And that my very horrible event that I remember when we were getting our clothing issued, and I figured out that I didn't get issued my BDU cap. And I was too scared to tell the drill sergeant that, hey, I didn't get my BDU cap. So what I did, I tried to trick the drill sergeant, and he was having each and every soldier hold up everything that they had. So I held up one hat and I tried to switch it to another side to show him that I had two hats, and he caught me. I was about 110 pounds when I went into basic training. And when he caught me, he said, "Get outside now." And I went outside, and he made me pack up everything I had. And I had 2 duffel bags full, and I had one. So he made me put one on the front and one on the back. And he pushed me up, up, down, up, down. And I can tell you this, I've never lied about anything else again. Upon leaving Fort Knox, Kentucky, and they call that agony and misery. If anybody that ever did basic training in Fort Knox, Kentucky, it is called agony and misery. Agony and misery are the hills that you have to run to get in shape. Every morning we ran agony and misery.